All right, everybody, welcome to this next session. This is hosted by Apptentive, one of our top sponsors. Thank you so much for joining us. Their co-founder and CEO, Robi, is here with us, and we'll be speaking on your mobile feedback funnel is broken. Here's how to fix it. Turning it over to you now, Robi. Thank you again.
Thanks, Evan, and hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. My name is Robi Ganguly, co-founder and CEO of Apptentive. My Twitter handle is @rganguly, so if the content here bothers you or bores you, you can hit me up. And if you like it, our Twitter handle is @Apptentive. What is Apptentive? Apptentive is a 9-year-old company that works with really large consumer brands to help them collect feedback and give a voice to their customers. So companies like Starbucks, Nordstrom, Viacom, Disney, and hundreds of others have used us to collect feedback from actually billions of their consumers. Today, I'm here to talk to you, the Mobile Growth Summit audience, about how you're in a really important position, that the mobile teams at large companies are in an advantageous position to fix a really large problem, which is that your feedback funnels across the entire business are broken. And you are in a place where you can accelerate the fixing of that problem and leap into the next generation of giving a voice to every one of your customers. And we know that in doing that, you can do many things in order to increase retention, to grow your loyalty and upsells and cross sells, and to really have a predictive pulse of your customer health, which has not been really easy to do up until now. So that's what I'm going to talk about over the next 10 to 12 minutes. Really appreciate you being here. And to get your brains going, we've got a poll for you that you should be seeing that really, we're curious about the ways in which your company collects feedback today. So companies use things like 1-800 numbers, they use social media, they use email support. How do you collect feedback? If you could answer this, this is going to give us a little bit of color later on in the conversation today. So again, thank you for your attention to this. I'm going to dive right in. So we're talking about funnels, and I want to make this interactive. So I've actually borrowed my funnel at home, and I'm going to draw this out and show you. No, I'm not going to do that, actually. I'm kidding. But I want to talk about funnels because funnels are everywhere in the businesses that we work in, and we're very familiar with them in several different ways. So sales funnels, a lot of us know about sales funnels, and sales funnels are really about the notion of how do you go from kind of somebody who's somewhat interested as a lead to the set of conversations that end up converting to a sale. So we're very familiar with this. Sales teams are always tracking this. Their Salesforce and CRM systems are tracking this. In marketing, we also have funnels, and the marketing funnels are not just about driving sales. Oftentimes that's the end result, but marketers often are also looking at what's the next action, the action you should be taking in order to drive people down the funnel from awareness all the way to purchase, and then potentially beyond, thinking about that ongoing relationship of repetitive visits, repetitive purchases, and becoming a loyal customer, maybe even signing up for your loyalty program. So sales and marketing funnels, we're very conversant in. A lot of people talk about these. And in those funnels, people are always talking about how do we expand the bottom of it? How do we get more people there? We also have funnels in product development. And at Apptentive, we've partnered with product teams for a very long time, since the beginning, actually, to help them iterate on their products, to collect feedback, to really understand what's going on. And we've learned along the way that there's very much a funnel to product development. You start with a lot of ideas, and you have to funnel them down and winnow them down to a place where you actually ship some software. And the end result is really about getting something out to customers that they love and that drives them forward. So we're very conversant in funnels in many different ways. And what's unfortunate is a lot of these funnels inherently miss a really important piece of this, which is the customer, right? The customer from a feedback perspective is really important to accelerating your knowledge about the funnels, to improving it, to getting more people through, to take the actions that you want. And we've learned over the years that this is really, really important in order to bring that voice to each of these funnels, to improve them, to give you a feedback loop that accelerates your development. And one of the things that is something I want you to take away from this is that when we talk about funnels, especially when we talk about sales and marketing, but even the product development, we think about it through the lens of a measure. And that measure is, what's the conversion rate, right? So again, this notion of, hey, how do we expand the bottom of this funnel is really about the conversion rate. How do we get more sales out of the same number of leads? How do we get more actions taken out of the same number of people who are at the top of the funnel? How do we get better product more advantageous product that actually moves the needle out of our development process. We're always looking at the conversion rate and trying to increase this. But when we contrast this with feedback and the notion of a feedback funnel, we know and understand that a lot of companies don't even think about the feedback funnel overall as an overarching concept. And we definitely know that companies don't tend to think about that conversion rate. So that's where I'm going to dig in and get a little bit more into some of the details around how we can be helpful. So what does your feedback funnel look like? Now, if we take a look really quickly at answers to the polls, you can see in your interface on the closed polls that we've got a lot of people here that say, hey, we use App Store reviews, we have a support help desk, we've got people who are running surveys like NPS and CSAT, and we've even got 10% of people having in-person conversations, which is really rich. So there are lots of different methods. And if you're thinking about it like a funnel, maybe this is the visualization you have, using all of these tools. But in reality, what's going on is that these are just channels. These methods of collecting feedback are actually just fundamentally channels that reflect different teams a lot of times. A lot of times the App Store review team is different from the help desk team, and it's definitely different from who's responsible for the 1-800 number or who's responsible for monitoring social media. And so we see pieces of this funnel that are actually in a flow. So when we think about funnels, we often think about a flow and a progression and people graduating, but the way in which we collect feedback as companies is so disparate that we don't connect the dots on, okay, who's doing what, where are we collecting feedback, and what does that mean for our overall conversion rate? Which really is important because we're not even having a meaningful conversation about the top of the feedback funnel. You see, the top of the feedback funnel is each and every one of your customers. And when you draw out this feedback funnel, starting with the numerator, right, really being like, the denominator being all of your customers, and then the numerator being the channels, what we see is that when you combine in most large B2C brands today, all of the channels for connection and collection of feedback, and then we add up all of the people that are coming through those channels and then divide it by the total number of customers. For most large consumer brands, the conversion rate is less than 1%. So we have the smallest of small conversion rates. And this is an artifact of not thinking about it as a feedback funnel in the first place. This is a really, really large problem that a lot of us are unaware of because there are disparate resources available who are responsible. And a lot of those teams are actually trying to narrow the number of customers they hear from as opposed to expand it. So this is why our feedback funnel is broken, because these things are not connected and we're leading to really low conversion rates. Another way of thinking about this from an economic impact on your business is the fact that the vast majority of your customers are silent. The people that you're hearing from, when less than 1% of people are actually talking to you, are a vocal minority. That vocal minority tends to drive towards people who are unhappy and really frustrated, but there are also in that vocal minority people who are big fans, advocates, and evangelists. So the opportunity for every company is to get better at tapping in proactively to the silent majority of that audience, and in so doing, to tap into the learnings that can accelerate the business forward, whether that's knowing that there are problems or understanding that there are opportunities to grow the revenue. So this is a really important concept that we think about in terms of fixing this, is helping your organization realize that you can accelerate proactive feedback collection. And we know that this is possible because we work with hundreds of brands that touch billions of consumers. In fact, in 2019, which is our most recent data set around this from our benchmark report, 24% of customers gave feedback when they were asked proactively. And because mobile is so intimate and it's with you all the time, that proactive engagement is very effective. In fact, across our data set, 80 to 90% of customers actually respond to proactive solicitation of feedback. And then that results in a conversion rate here that is 24 or 25%. So 1 in 4 customers approximately giving feedback, letting their voice be heard, as opposed to 1 in 100 when you've got a conversion rate of 1%. And when you get lots more feedback, your numbers change. So a lot of you, I'm seeing this 14% according to the poll, use NPS and CSAT. And what we've seen is that a lot of companies have narrowed their funnel. And so they're figuring out that they're at an NPS of 40 to 50, or maybe they're above that. But when you expand that funnel, when you get a lot more customers giving you feedback, our data says that the real numbers across brands is more like 25. And in fact, on iOS, we see it at a higher NPS level, about 28. And on Android, we see it at 21. So really important to understand that these numbers will change when you start listening to more of your customers. Now, how does mobile help? Well, mobile brings along individual data and the ability to measure over time, which means that Starbucks can ask me, Robi, a loyal customer, 6 months ago a question, 3 months ago a question, and 2 days ago a question. And we can understand that Robi's opinion has changed in the last couple of days. And being able to do that is a superpower only available to you in mobile. What we know as a result of measuring this across 1 billion customers, there's approximately 1 in 20 customers shift from being fans to risk over a period of time when you start measuring again and again. And that 4%, about 1 in 25 customers, will shift to fans. And so understanding the customer's emotions will change is really important to knowing why. You should be tracking this on a daily basis. Understanding these shifts on a daily basis is really powerful. I want to be more specific about this. We have a large quick service retail customer that was looking at this data with us and was paying attention to the fact that over the course of a period of time, they had some folks who shifted to risk. And they really dug in and said, okay, we want to care about this. Who are these people? And the more they looked at this curve and they drew it out, the more they realized that this curve was representative of something, but it was predictive. And that was churn customers. The ability to touch their customers proactively, hear from more of them, then help them predict which customers who had shifted to risk were going to churn somewhere between 14 and 60 days from now. And that mapped to their data pretty comprehensively. And so now they're using it to predict churn. So this is one of the ways in which fixing that feedback funnel, really opening up the conversion rate and increasing it, can help you predict your business and lead to really meaningful results. Now, mobile, again, all of you here who are attending this, is a really important channel because this device is with customers all the time. You effectively can help your company, not just in the app, but around the experiences, whether they're shopping in stores, they're sitting on their couch exploring, they're trying to make a purchase on the go. You can help a lot of your company expand the feedback funnel because mobile is really personal and it can measure over time, and it's increasingly available to that customer even when they're having in-person or different types of experiences. So this means that each and every one of you has a superpower that you can wield as you go back to your companies. You can help the company break it by helping proactively gather feedback from your customers. Maybe it's your mobile app, maybe it's on your website, your mobile website in particular, because more and more of your customers are there. Being proactive actually feeds data not just to the mobile teams, but up into the executive teams. We have done this a lot, so we're happy to help and share more of what we've learned. And if you want to follow along, we publish a lot of this information. In the chat, we've also shared a benchmark report that has a lot more of the deep information around how we've understood these conversion rates and the ways to fix them. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I'm going to take a look at the chat. I see you up there, Evan.
Yeah.
Dave.
Hey, Robi.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, are you A/B testing? Dave Weston asked, are you A/B testing to measure engagement? Are you using AI to make predictive analytics? Is this real time? The answer is yes, and there's a deeper conversation to have in this. How we structure this, because you can get in front of so many customers, like 100 times the volume, and get a much higher conversion rate, is a lot simpler than you might anticipate because more customers will talk to you. But let's talk some more, Dave. And I'm also clicking on the Q&A.
Yeah, there was actually an additional question. Is this feedback you are collecting helping brands to change their retention/engagement strategies? Do certain communications, vehicles, or messaging work better at each level of the funnel?
Absolutely, yes. So we tend to start working with product teams, and it helps them change their strategies around which products, which features to prioritize, and then it usually expands to consumer insights and marketing. And when we move into consumer insights and marketing, marketing tends to change engagement strategies to segment off audiences based upon their feedback, right? So like the notion of an audience that's not inferred based upon behavior, but as actually explicit based upon what customers have said is really powerful, and that becomes very actionable very quickly. And then consumer insights actually structure more work around loyalty programs to increase retention and upsell opportunities. Again, there's more to dig in here. Our benchmark reports has some of the very specific details around other recommendations that we have, but each company does have a different method of engaging with their customers, so we end up tailoring a lot of the solutions based upon that. So thanks for that question.